Hey, how are you doing? In today's video, I want to talk to you about what the Bible says about becoming a real man. And I want you to stay with me for every single word of this one, because I've been doing this work for over 30 years. I've sat across from men in my office who had everything: the house, the career, the family, the reputation. Men who looked, from the outside, like they had it all figured out. And those same men would sit down, look me dead in the eye, and say, "Jhon, I don't know who I am anymore." That hits different every single time. I've seen men fall apart not because life destroyed them, but because nobody ever taught them what it means to actually be a man. Not a performing man. Not a mask-wearing, chest-puffing, pretend you're fine man. A real one. A man with roots deep enough to hold when the storms come. And the storms always come. I've watched men lose their marriages not because they stopped loving their wives, but because they never learned how to be present, how to be soft without being weak, how to be strong without being cold. I've watched fathers miss their children's entire childhoods because nobody sat them down and said, "Son, being a provider isn't just about the paycheck." I've watched grown men cry in my office over things that happened to them 30 years ago. Things they never told a single soul. Because real men don't talk about it, right? That's what they were told. That lie has cost us generations. I've been married to my wife, Margaret, for 40 years. We have 7 children, 5 grandchildren. And I'm telling you right now, from this chair, with everything I've seen and everything I've lived, most men are carrying a version of themselves that was never really theirs to begin with. And it's time we talk about it. If you are searching for something real, not just advice, but actual truth that can reach into the chest of a man and rearrange something, hit that subscribe button right now, because this channel exists for exactly this conversation, and you deserve to hear it. In this video, I'm going to take you through what the Bible actually says about manhood. Not the Sunday school version, not the bumper sticker version, the raw, uncomfortable, life-changing version. We're going to look at what it costs to become a real man, what it means to be both tender and fierce, both wounded and whole, both broken and unshakable. I'm going to show you the psychological trap most men fall into, why it quietly hollows a man out from the inside. I'm going to show you why strength and gentleness are not opposites. They are the same thing wearing different clothes. And I'm going to show you exactly where to start today, whether you're 25 or 65. Because here's the thing nobody tells you. The longer a man goes without this foundation, the more he drifts. And when a man drifts long enough, he stops believing he can ever find solid ground again. When the soul gives up on its own compass, it wanders into a darkness that is very hard to come back from. And when the mind of a man finally gives up, it's over. But to understand how this all started, and on that day, everything seemed perfectly normal, I want you to picture something for me. A boy, maybe 8 years old. He's sitting at the kitchen table on a Saturday morning. The smell of coffee is in the air. Cartoons are on in the other room. His father is getting ready for work, again, on a Saturday. The boy doesn't say anything. He's learned not to. He just watches his dad buckle his belt, grab his keys, and head for the door. The dad looks back for half a second, says, "Be good," and the door closes. No hug. No "I love you." No "I'll be home for dinner." Just the sound of the car backing out of the driveway. And then silence. That particular kind of silence that only a house feels when a father leaves it. The boy sits there. He finishes his cereal. He watches the cartoons. And somewhere in his little chest, a message gets written. A message that will stay there for the next 40 years if nobody helps him find it and erase it. The message says, men don't stay. Men provide and disappear. Men don't talk about feelings. Men don't need anybody. And that boy grows up. He becomes a man. He gets married. He has children. He works hard. He provides. And one day, his own son is sitting at a kitchen table on a Saturday morning, watching him buckle his belt, grab his keys, and head for the door. The cycle doesn't break itself. Nobody ever taught him how. Now here's where it gets real, and I need you to lean in for this part. That boy grows up and he builds a life, a good life from the outside. Mortgage paid, kids fed, wife taken care of financially. He does everything a man is supposed to do, according to the unwritten rules he was handed. And for a while, it works. Or at least it looks like it works. But then one Tuesday night, he's sitting in his car in the driveway. It's 10:30 at night. The lights in the house are off. His family is asleep. And he just sits there, engine off, hands on the steering wheel. And he cannot make himself go inside. He doesn't know why. He can't explain it. There is nothing wrong, not in the way the world measures wrong. But something inside him feels completely, profoundly, terrifyingly empty. Like a house that looks perfect from the street, but has no furniture inside. Not one single chair. He sits in that driveway for 45 minutes, and he doesn't tell a soul. Not his wife, not his pastor, not his best friend. Because real men handle their own problems. Because asking for help means you're weak. Because somewhere along the way, he was taught that silence is strength. That's the moment the wound stops being invisible. That's the moment the real problem finally surfaces. And it's not the empty feeling. It's not the driveway. It's not even the loneliness. The real problem, the one that's been running the whole show, is this. He has never, not once in his entire adult life, known what it means to be a man on the inside. He's only ever known what men are supposed to look like on the outside. And let me tell you something. That gap between the performance and the person, that gap will widen every single year, until it swallows a man whole. And here's the part that breaks my heart most. That Tuesday night in the driveway, that's not a moment of failure. That is actually a moment of grace, because something in that man finally stopped performing. Something in him got honest, even if only with himself, even if only for 45 minutes in the dark. But most men don't treat it as grace. Most men treat it as shame. They tuck it back down. They go inside. They kiss their wife on the forehead. They check on the kids. And they wake up the next morning and put the mask back on. The shame becomes the prison. And the prison has no bars, just silence. Just a man going through the motions of a life that fits him like a suit 2 sizes too small. And the worst part? He smiles through every single day of it. In my 30 years of practice, I have heard this story more times than I can count. Different names, different cities, different jobs, same story. The details change. The wound is always the same. And here's what that wound is, stripped down to its core. A man who was never given permission to be fully human. A man who was handed a role instead of an identity. A man who learned to be useful, but never learned to be whole. If you've ever sat in your own driveway, in your own car, unable to walk through your own front door, leave a comment below right now. Just say, I've been there. I read every single one. And I want you to know, you are not alone. You never were. And if this is hitting close to home, go ahead and hit that like button too. It helps this message reach the next man who needs to hear it. Now I want to take you somewhere. Somewhere you might not expect. Because the Bible, this book that has been on bedside tables and church pews for thousands of years. This book has a story about a man that I believe was written specifically for the man sitting in that driveway on a Tuesday night. His name is David. Not David the king, not David the giant slayer, not the David on the stained glass window with the golden harp. I want to talk about a different David, the one most people skip past. The real one. There is a moment in David's life that I want to sit in with you. He is roughly 30 years old. He has been anointed king since he was a teenager. He has defeated Goliath. He has served faithfully under a king who was trying to end him. He has been hunted through the desert, slept in caves, eaten dust, led a band of men who were themselves broken, in debt, and desperate. It says so right there in 1 Samuel 22. And one day, he comes back to a place called Ziklag, he and all his men, exhausted, worn to the bone. And what they find, what they come home to, is ash. The Amalekites had raided while they were gone. The camp is burned to the ground. Every woman, every child, every family, gone, taken. And the Bible says, I want you to hear this, the Bible says that David and all the men with him lifted up their voices and wept until they had no more power to weep. That's not poetic language. That's a broken man on his knees in the ruins of everything he had. That is a man with no mask left to wear because the ash has taken everything worth hiding behind. David is on the ground. His face is in the dirt. His body is shaking. And on top of all of this, his own men are talking about stoning him. The men he led, the men he bled with, they are so consumed by their own grief that they are turning on him. He is alone, completely, devastatingly alone, at the bottom of a pit with no ladder. Can you feel that? That is the driveway moment. That is the Tuesday night. That is the empty house that looks perfect from the street. David, the man after God's own heart, is sitting in the ash of his greatest failure, afraid of the men he loves, and he doesn't have a single answer. And this is the verse I want to burn into your mind. 1 Samuel 30, verse 6. But David strengthened himself in the Lord his God, not in his accomplishments, not in his reputation, not in his track record, not in what other men thought of him, in the Lord his God. David didn't perform strength. He found it. He went looking for it in the only place it actually lives. And that one decision, made in the dirt, in the ash, with tears still on his face, that one decision changed the entire outcome of that story. He got up. He asked God what to do. He led his men forward, and they recovered everything. Every single thing. Now let me bring this home, because this isn't about David 2,000 years ago. This is about you, right now, reading the roadmap that man left behind for every man who will ever sit in ash. Here's what I've learned in 30 years of sitting across from men who were hurting, men who were performing, men who were lost inside a role that never fit them. The first thing is this: real manhood begins with honesty, not performance. The moment David stopped pretending, the moment he let himself weep until there was nothing left to weep, that was not weakness. That was the bravest thing he ever did. Braver than Goliath. Because it's easy to fight a giant outside you. It takes everything you've got to face the one inside. If you want to start today, start here. Find one person, your wife, a pastor, a counselor, a trusted friend, and tell them the truth. Not the polished version, the real one. I've been going through the motions. I feel empty, and I don't know why. I've been sitting in my car, and I can't come inside. That sentence, spoken out loud to one safe person, is more courageous than anything you will do today. The second thing is this: your identity is not your usefulness. This is the lie that wrecked David's men. They had built their entire sense of worth on what they had, their families, their possessions. When it was gone, they turned on each other. Because when a man's worth is tied to what he produces, he becomes dangerous the moment he loses it. Real men, men with deep roots, Know that their value was settled before they ever accomplished a single thing. Before the career, before the family, before the performance. God decided you were worth everything before you ever did anything worth noticing. That's not motivation speech. That's the gospel. And it changes everything about how a man moves through his day. The third thing, strength and tenderness are not opposites. They are brothers. David wept. David also fought. The same man who sobbed in the ash was the same man who led 600 soldiers to victory that same afternoon. He didn't have to choose between his tears and his courage. He let one feed the other. The tenderness gave him the humility to ask God what to do. The strength gave him the legs to do it. When you cut the tenderness out of a man, you don't make him stronger. You make him brittle. You make him the man who snaps at his kids because he's never learned to process what he carries. You make him the man sitting in the driveway on a Tuesday night, unable to explain the hollow in his chest. Margaret, my wife, she has said this to me more than once over the years, and she is right every single time. Jhon, the strongest thing you ever do is let me see you. She means it, and I believe her, because 40 years in, I know that the moments I let my guard down, really let it down. Those are the moments our marriage became something neither of us could have built alone. The fourth thing, and this is the one I want to leave you with. Real men strengthen themselves in God first, before they strengthen themselves in their reputation, before they strengthen themselves in their roles, before they fix what's broken around them. They go to the source of all strength, and they get honest with Him too. That's what David did. And it worked. Not as a formula, not as a 3-step program, as a relationship. A real, honest, sometimes painful, always redemptive relationship with the God who made him. You don't have to have it all figured out to begin. David didn't. He began in the ash. You can begin right where you are. Let me bring you back to that boy at the kitchen table on a Saturday morning, the one watching his father leave. That boy didn't need a perfect father. He needed a present one. He needed a man who had done the work, the inside work, so that when the door opened, something real walked back in. Maybe you were that boy. Maybe your son is that boy right now, watching you. Maybe you've been leaving in ways that have nothing to do with a car or a driveway. Checking out emotionally, going quiet, disappearing behind a screen or a schedule or a silence that everybody in your house can feel, but nobody is allowed to name. It's not too late. I say that not as an inspirational phrase. I say it as a counselor who has watched men in their 60s rediscover their families, watched marriages get rebuilt in their twilight years, watched grandfathers become to their grandchildren what they couldn't be to their children. It is never, never too late to become the real thing. David came back from the ash. He recovered everything. And the men who were ready to stone him, they followed him home. Because there is something about a man who stops performing and starts being real. Something about that man that other men will follow to the ends of the earth. That's who you were made to be. Not the performance, the person, not the role, the man. So here's where we land today. Becoming a real man, according to the Bible, is not about being harder. It's about going deeper. It's about finding the wound before it finds everything you love. It's about sitting in your own ash long enough to be honest. It's about strengthening yourself in God before you try to fix everything else. And it's about understanding that your tenderness is not a flaw in your masculinity. It is the very best part of it. I've watched men do this work. I've done some of it myself, with Margaret's help, with God's patience, and with more stumbles than I care to admit. And what I can tell you, from the other side of 40 years of marriage, 30 years of practice, and a house full of kids who turned out pretty well is that the work is worth it. Every single day of it. If this video spoke to something in you today, I want to ask you one thing. Leave a comment below and tell me, what was the one thing a man in your life taught you about strength, right or wrong? Because I have a feeling your answers are going to help somebody else in this community more than you know. And if this message helped you even a little bit, hit that like button and share it with a man who needs to hear it. Subscribe if you haven't already, because we go deep on this channel. Every single week. I'll see you in the next one. Take care of yourself, and take care of the people who are counting on you to do this work.